Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Linda Lang.
Hi, this is Linda Lang from thoughtchange.com. I'm here today with medical intuitive and author Catherine Carrigan. Catherine has been our guest before on Exploring the Mystical Side of Life, so I will make sure to put that link in the show notes as well. Catherine, thank you for taking the time to chat with us again today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm really excited about today's topic, and I even have goosebumps as I say that. Today we're talking about reading the soul. Now, Catherine, as a medical intuitive, if you are like many people that hear the term medical intuitive, you probably are thinking specifically the physical body, whether that's scanning the body to see where there's some dis-ease or disruption in energy, or whether it's a particular health issue you want more information about, and also, hopefully, a way to improve it. But Catherine takes her readings deeper, all the way down to soul level.
Right. And Linda Lang, thank you for pointing that out, because the way I look at a human being, I refer to the 5 levels of healing. So when I do a medical intuitive reading, yes, I talk about what's going on the physical level. Yes, I talk about what I'm seeing physically, but I read the physical body, the energy body, which includes your chakras, your breath, and your acupuncture meridian, the emotional body, which is the largest part of all of us, the mental body, which is any thoughts and beliefs holding you back, and finally, I read the spiritual body. And I wrote my book, Reading the Soul, which happens to be my 10th book, because there are many systems that allow you to discern what's going on all the other levels. So if you go to a medical doctor, they can run, thousands of dollars of lab tests to, confirm what's happening on the physical level. Or if you go to an acupuncturist, they can read your acupuncture system. Or if you go to a psychologist, they can talk with you about the emotions. Or if you work with a life coach, they can talk to you about your thoughts. But there really hasn't been any system until the one that I created for my own readings that helps people understanding what's going on with your soul. And the reason I feel this is so important is because you are a soul. Your soul having a spiritual experience in this human body. And your soul controls your mind controls your emotions control your energy, and then finally your energy controls the physical. So by the time you experience dis-ease, it's filtered down on all these levels. And as a medical intuitive healer, when I do a reading, I look at what's happening on all 5 levels, because sometimes people are doing a great job. Like they may be exercising and eating well and taking supplements, but they're not changing. They're not getting to where they want to be because they're not addressing what's going on. And most of my clients are very self-aware, self-actualized people, but we all have a little window, which is what you can't see about yourself. And that's the piece that I put together. I help people understand what's going on all the 5 levels. And yes, I make specific recommendations about what will work to make you better. And I do healing work to clear the issues.
I love that you say we all have that little window that we don't see ourselves clearly. And that is so true.
So for people who are self-actualized and really working on their health or their money or their relationships, if you're blocked, it's because you can't see it. And it doesn't mean that you're not intelligent. And I have a very high level of self-care, but there are people that I work with when I get stuck. And that's wisdom also, is, help me see what I can't see, right?
Absolutely. The other thing that you brought up was the fact that it's your thoughts that create your emotions.
Right. This is well recognized in the psychological field. And so if your emotions are not comfortable for you, then you have to ask yourself, what are the thoughts that are creating these bad feelings? Albert Einstein, who was kind of recognized as being somewhat of an intelligent person, he said that the most important question is whether or not you consider the universe to be a friendly place. Because when you hold that belief, when I know that the universe is a friendly place for me, then everything that works out, that everything that happens works out for my highest good, even if in the moment I don't understand why, right? So I do healing work and I clear beliefs. And that's a healing that everybody needs to have, maybe especially right now. The universe is a friendly place. So we have to realize the divine wisdom of this higher power, right?
When you look at quantum physics and how they've determined that the particles that the universe is made up of actually respond to what the observer is expecting to see,
Right.
that's a really good belief to have.
Yeah, but even now during this coronavirus pandemic, when there is a tremendous amount of darkness, and a lot of people are not able to see through the darkness, they know that their way of life has changed, but how do I get my power back? And how can I trust and have faith that where I'm going and where the universe is going is for our highest good, right? So doing that belief work is critical and life supporting and life saving right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. Do you have any suggestions how people can actually work with beliefs? I mean, I work with beliefs, so I have tons of tools, but perhaps you
Sure.
could share something.
Okay, so first of all, whenever you're working on beliefs, you're working on the mind level, right? So you're working literally on your mind, right? Not on the soul, but on your mind. And so a couple of things. A good thing to do if you're experiencing discomfort around an issue is to spend some time journaling. What is it that I actually believe about this situation? Do I believe that, things are getting worse? Do I believe that, life is miserable and then you die, right? What are my beliefs? Then you go through your beliefs that you're holding in mind and ask, are these beliefs actually serving me? Is it helpful to me to think, that there are powers outside me that are, everybody's out to get me or whatever it is? So identify your beliefs, number one. Number two, look at which are not supportive. And then the third step is to begin to write affirmations that are positive. So the positive affirmations are going to be in the present tense, as in now. They're going to be specific, measurable action and reasonable and something that you can actually achieve. I myself do clearing work on beliefs, and we create a new belief. Then we look at what are the emotions that are holding your negative energy in place. Then I look at what are the ages that maybe something happened in your life that keep you from believing this positive. And then I look for any other information, and then I do deep healing work to clear it. And again, it's important to understand that just as I mentioned, there's 5 levels of you. When you hold a negative belief, you may be holding it in your organs, in your physical body. You may be holding it in your energy system, in your chakras, your breath, or your acupuncture system. If you're holding a negative belief, you're definitely holding it in your emotions. And then even on the mental level, is this something you decided for yourself? Or is it a belief that you inherited from maybe someone in your family? And then I'd look at, does it come from the female line, the male line? Or is it what's called a miasm, which is a larger societal belief? So for example, there's a societal belief that it's difficult to lose weight. Well, who decided that? Right? Even if that's been your personal experience, where did that belief come from? And then again, there's something that could be happening on the soul level, right? Like maybe you've had some past lives with an issue, or you have karmic contracts with an issue, or you have soul wounds, or there's negative spiritual or energy around you that's keeping you from shining the light of your true soul potential, right? So when I clear beliefs, yeah, you can do some little simple tapping, and yes, you can get up every day and say, I'm a radiant, happy person. Love and light are my guides, and all that's very helpful. Affirmations are helpful, tapping is helpful, but when you're really having an issue, you want to clear it on all 5 levels.
So we have things like karma that we're dealing with, whether it's personal or sometimes ancestral. What other kind of influences can create these challenges for us in life?
Okay, so, and again, not to be too complicated, but let's go back to what you mentioned about karma, all right? So first of all, what is karma? And again, I just want to talk about that one thing, because in my book, Reading the Soul, I give the template of what I do when I am reading the soul, all the things that I look for. But as far as karma goes, first of all, what is karma? So karma is, it's an energy. Whatever you put out is what comes back to you. And I always feel that the most selfish thing I can ever do is be kind, generous, and thoughtful to others, because if that's what I put out, that's what I come back. So when you hold karma, you could be holding it on your mental level. Okay, it could be affecting your thoughts and beliefs. You could be holding karma on your DNA level, which means that you're literally carrying down the karma of your ancestors. You could have a karmic contract. And as I'm always explaining, there's 3 kinds of karmic contracts. It could be, I'm here to help you, or you're here to help me, or we're here to help each other. And when you understand that this is a soul level contract, it's sacred no matter what, right? Because sometimes it's like, I'm just here to help other people. What do I get out of it? Well, that's what you get out of it. And then finally, you could be holding karma at your core soul level, which means that it's an energy that's been with you through multiple lifetimes. And it's like, you know, water that's worn down the rock. It's so deep, it's changed the shape of who you are. So when we're holding these karmas, again, even that, there's many different levels of karma, and you have to see, sometimes people have cleared it through one level, like you may have cleared it through the mental level, but you haven't cleared it through the generations, or you haven't, you know, completed your karmic contract with another individual in this lifetime that's holding that energy in place. Or again, you may have done this pattern for so long, you don't know how to be any other way.
So if that's the case, Catherine, and it's worn down the rocks and we've kind of forgotten who we are at our core, our essence, is there a way to get back to that?
I actually do healings to complete your karma. You may be holding karmas, and most of us do. And in my book, Reading the Soul, I described about different kinds of karma. But when I do these healings, I call in the lords of karma, who are spiritual beings. So it's not just me doing the work. I'm asking spiritual beings to help you. And then we find, again, where are you blocked? And then with the divine assistance, then you ask, what is it that we need to clear it? And when you're working with divine beings, often this clears very simply. I may use a flower essence or some other form of very simple energy healing. But the thing about it is, if you're holding karma, just realize that you can clear it, right? You have to figure out, again, where it's blocked and ask for divine assistance, but it can be cleared.
Is karma always a bad thing?
That's such a great question. And to use the word bad, let me make a comment. Whenever we're in judgment, we're in our ego mind. And in order to receive your soul guidance, you have to get out of your ego mind, right? So if I'm doing a medical intuitive reading, I'm literally channeling the information. As one of my mentors said, I show up and get out of the way. So there is no judgment. There are things that you as a soul have lived through. And if you look at if you look at it from the perspective of what you've lived through, you can find that strength, right? So if I know that generations before me have lived through slavery, but have found the strength to persevere, to find the purpose in living, to find the joy of life, then I can find that strength within me now. And to realize that you as a soul are highly resilient.
And I think quite often, after when we're going through something, it's very, very difficult because we're being challenged. But afterwards, when we look back at it, we can see our growth and quite often some gifts in those experiences.
For sure, yes. You have to take responsibility for everything that happens in your life, right? And that's a basic tenet of healing, is to take responsibility. And, one of the questions might be, is why did I create this? It's like, I'm not having fun. I would prefer to have a different experience, right? But when we look back at things that happened to us, then, post-traumatic growth is part of it. It's like, wow, I'm so strong. I'm so resilient. I didn't realize how strong I was, right? And especially now when we're going through very dark times, we need to find ways to take our power back. And part of the way you find that power is by finding that inner resilience within yourself.
Yeah, well said, Catherine. So I'm curious, when you do a reading for someone, is it something that, you're scanning the body? How does the information come into you?
My primary gift is claircognizance. That's the same gift as Edgar Cayce. The information comes in very, very quickly. And what it feels like to you is I'm just chatting with you.
And I bet you've seen some incredible shifts in people's circumstances.
Absolutely. That's what makes my work so rewarding. The reason that I do my work as a medical intuitive healer is, again, people aren't seeing what's happening on all 5 levels. And if you're stuck, I promise you, it's because there's something that you can't see on these other levels, right? And that's why I wrote my book, Reading the Soul, is that you want to understand what's happening at the soul level. I just did some work for some people who are in a grief support group. And when you are grieving, you may have a wounded spirit. And there's different things that happen that are so severe. They affect us emotionally for sure, but they go so deep, they go all the way to the level of your soul. And if you don't clear wounded spirit, then vibrationally you just attract other wounded spirits. And these are the people who take the antidepressants and are still depressed, and they take the anti-anxiety medications and they're still anxious, right? So again, if you're taking tons of medication and you're still really suffering, it's because there's things on these other levels that you're not able to get to.
Catherine, could you talk a little bit about the kind of support that we receive from the spirit realm?
So if you go to CatherineCarrigan.com, if you go over on the left side, I have actual photographs of angels, and people are like, yeah, whatever, you've taken pictures of angels. And, I run the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I've interviewed a number of people who have angel experts. Well, I have pictures of angels. So if you go to CatherineCarrigan.com, you can see photographs that I've taken with angels. And I'll tell you about how I first noticed that I was taking pictures of angels. So if you go to CatherineCarrigan.com, you realize that I love flowers, and I raise orchids in my healing room. I have for years. And in 2009, I got invited to stay in a castle with 5 other healers from around the world. So there we are. So when I come home, I'm sending photographs to my healer friends. And I sent this photograph of my healing room and to all my healer friends. And the healer from Brazil, emailed me back, nice angel. It was like, oh my God. Well, that photograph I put on the cover of my second book, What is Healing? So many people need visible proof of the angels who are all around us. And since then, I have readers who send in their own photographs. I've had photographs from the US and photographs from Africa, and people are reaching out to me. But if you want to see this, go to CatherineCarrigan.com and go to angel photos, and you can see this. So I probably have 70 or 80 photos of angels, and all around my house, all around my healing room.
Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. And angels are something that we can all reach.
Absolutely. And, they're available to all of us. So you can pray to them, you can meditate with them. And again, you can see their pictures at CatherineCarrigan.com.
Wonderful. Catherine, do you have anything else that you would really like the listeners to understand as we're talking about reading the soul?
Yes, I would say that, there's really three phases of your soul process. Unconscious, which is where you're kind of going through life and you don't realize that you're a soul. Awakening, which is where you realize, gosh, I am a soul and I have a soul purpose. And then finally, conscious, which is when you know that you're a soul and you're fulfilling your soul purpose. And right now, we're living at a time when there's high levels of depression, high levels of anxiety. I believe in the US, about 1/3 of the population has clinical levels of anxiety and depression. But when you realize that you are a soul, you know that you're resilient, you know that you have a purpose. And when you take the time to connect to your soul, your intuition opens up, because one of my books is Unlimited Intuition Now. In my view, another word for intuition is your soul guidance. Your intuition opens up, and when you realize what your soul purpose is, you can live that purpose now, even now, and it gives you strength, it gives you comfort, it gives you purpose, it gives you meaning. And there's three ways to be happy in life: physical pleasure, soul satisfaction, and life meaning. And I feel the most important way to be happy in life is to really connect to your soul purpose, so you can live your purpose every day of your life. And when you do that, you're going to have meaning, and you're going to be a lighthouse of love and guidance for everyone around you.
And if you're not there yet, there is hope. That path can open right up for you. You might need a little help.
Right. And if you're alive and listening to this broadcast, you absolutely have a soul purpose, even if you don't know what it is yet.
So, Catherine, you have shared your website with us and your book. Maybe hold your book up again for the listeners.
Sure. Reading the Soul by Catherine Carrigan, and my websites are CatherineCarrigan.com and UnlimitedEnergyNow.com. And while you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how to heal yourself naturally.
I'll make sure to put all the links in the show note. Thank you for being my guest again. It's always fascinating to have a chat with you.
Thank you, Linda.
And thank you for listening to this week's episode of Exploring the Mystical Side of Life. You will find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Come and visit me at thoughtchange.com and explore what energy medicine can do for you. Bye for now. Your comments and shares are appreciated. And remember to subscribe.